Was just going to be me trying an Arawachi rush build, but it quickly turned into another installment of my Good, Bad and the Ugly series. Now my opponent's Macedon army is a quite nice Macedonian army with pikes, skirmishers, some Thracian warriors and cavalry. I have 6 noble fighters, I have 4 Celtiberian cavalry and I have some Iberian spears. Now the map is Pella. At the beginning I can't see any of my opponent's troops, so I'm going to move into the forest to begin with. I'm just going to fast forward here. The plan is of course just to rush like hell and smash into my enemy. If there are pikes, I'm just going to maneuver around them, since I don't have any skirmishers in this battle. So I expect my opponent to move up on the hill, because that's what most people do when they start on the opposite side from the hill here, because it's so close. So I rush up and I don't see any enemy units at all. So that's pretty strange, I think. Maybe he's deployed on this hill, and there I can see them. He's deployed all the way over in the corner of the map, so okay. That means I'm going to have to take my guys on a little hike, a little trip through the forest. And here I see citizen cavalry. I'm just going to attack it with all of my units. It didn't get an attack order on my guys. So my Celtiberian cavalry is going to do well for once. They're just going to surround and kill the citizen cavalry fairly quickly. But as you can see, Celtiberian cavalry is not the best cavalry, even at cavalry engagements, although it has a pretty nice bonus against large. It's not great in prolonged melee engagements. It will take them quite some time, with even 4 units, to destroy the citizen cavalry, even when attacking downhill. So I'm just going to push up my infantry. I have to keep an eye on their fatigue, because they are active already, and it's a long walk over here. My opponent is actually going to pull back closer to the red line, because he didn't think he was quite close enough to the corner here. So pretty MLG tactics from my opponent. And now some Aspis companions are coming out of the woods. My Celtiberian cavalry is fresh, so I'm thinking, alright, I'll just go and engage the Aspis. I should be able to win with 4 Celtiberian cavalry against 2 Aspis. So I'm moving. I don't see the Aspis just yet, so I'm moving my Celtiberian forward, but then I see the Aspis, and I'm going to turn around my Celtiberians, and I'm also going to start moving my spears closer to the Aspis companions. But as I do so, 2 more units of citizen cavalry, and now I see that I'm outmatched in the cavalry department, because these units are going to be able to defeat my Cantabrian cavalry. But since I don't really need the cavalry for taking care of these guys over here, I'm just going to YOLO in, activate Frenzy Charge, not get a great charge, because, well, these are Celtiberian cavalry. They're going to go down quickly to the Aspis companion. I didn't kill a single Aspis companion on the charge. I'm keeping these guys in reserve just to save these guys from the humiliation of getting rear charged by citizen cavalry. I'm going to rear charge here with my Celtiberians. It's not really going to kill the Aspis quickly enough, so I have 3 against 2 here, but I'm still going to lose this engagement. My spears are taking their sweet time in coming over here and supporting. The Celtiberian cavalry is going to lose, of course, to citizen cavalry. And already one of my units is wavering, so they died pretty quickly to the Aspis companions. And they haven't really been able to, they've only been able to kill 11 Aspis companions. So although Aspis companions aren't the best units in melee against melee cavalry, because they have swords and not spears, the Celtiberian cavalry is still shitty enough that they are going to lose this engagement pretty quickly. And these guys are exhausted because I used the Frenzy Charge, so it probably wasn't the best idea to use Frenzy Charge in this type of engagement. I should have saved it for later. And even though he's pulling out of the engagement, he's not really losing a lot of Aspis, and that's because of their high armor and their high health. So it's going to allow my Celtiberians to take down a bit more of the Aspis, but not enough, not nearly enough. And the same over here. The citizen cavalry is dying, but it's also destroying my Celtiberian cavalry. And I'm just not able to get my spears over there in time, and they are winded when they get there. So me having to move this much to reach my opponent is going to make my guys tired, and that's of course very bad. So I need to stop here and to rest my guys a bit so they aren't less effective in melee. Moving up my Iberian spears, but it looks like my Cantabrian cavalry is going to, or my Celtiberian cavalry is going to die before I'm able to support them. So in a way, I kind of liked what my opponent did here in spreading his forces out. So he probably wanted me to go all the way over here and then bring his cavalry in for rear charging. But when I discovered his plan there, it's going to be a bit less effective. But I don't like camping in the corner and then spreading your guys out. That's kind of a douchey move. So the Celtiberian cavalry is going down, even though these guys are just withdrawing. He's not really losing a lot of guys. And I'm just not able to get the spears into the mix. They are tired, but I'm just going to chase away here. And had my opponent just charged my spears with his aspis, he probably would have been able to break all of these units. Because they are only Iberian spears. Pretty crappy medium spears. They can do well when the cavalry is already engaged, but against charges they won't be able to do much at all. So here we have a unit of citizen cavalry just running through my spears, swatting them away with his shields there. And this guy might survive. Let's have a look. Stabbing the Iberian spearman, and the Iberian spearman didn't want to fight anymore. This guy disappeared for some reason. I thought he would be close enough that, and he's just going to stab my Iberian spears in the back here. And he's hitting him with a spear. Try stabbing him instead. Come on, stab. There you go. Right in the balls. Another stab. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Another hit with the spear. Another hit with the spear. Come on, stab. Stab it. Another hit with the spear. So maybe someone should teach this guy how to use a spear. I'm not sure hitting him with a spear is the best use against cavalry. So here his bro is coming up to support him. And there we go. Stabbed him. So finally. And now that my guys are rested, a bit at least, I'm going to start surrounding his pike line and his supporting troops here. His mercenary Thracian warriors just came into view in the forest here, so even more hidden units. My Celtiberian cavalry came back from routing, so I'm just going to sacrifice them here to try to hold the citizen cavalry and the companions so I can get my Iberian spears into the mix. This unit I'm going to go into loose formation and spaghetti line so it can eat fire. I'm going to move it up and to try to hold his entire pike line with this one unit. And then I'm going to move the other units around the flanks. So my spears just didn't make it in time over here. Now they're just going to chase after these cavalry units. They won't be able to catch them, but at least it will occupy them for some time. And I'm not really losing a huge amount of noble fighters to the missile fire here because I am in loose formation and spaghetti lined. Still, I'm going to take some casualties, and I need to get my guys in here to start supporting these guys so they don't die before I get into the rear of my opponent. But I am able to throw javelins at these thorax pikes, which should damage them at least a little bit. So here I'm able to maneuver around the pikes, slightly into the pikes here, but some of the guys are going to make it into these militia hoplites as well, getting some kills on the thorax pikes, and the same is happening on the other side. This unit is holding, these guys are moving around. So he could have peeled off these units and just protected his flanks, but he's not going to do that. Over here I'm chasing after his cavalry that I can't see anymore. My general is charging into the flank of the thorax pikes, and the thorax pikes are going to die pretty quickly now. The militia hoplites are going to die quickly. His general got charged and he's dying pretty fast as well. Another charge in on the flanks. This unit got charged in the rear. They're trying to turn around, but they're going to take a lot of casualties doing that. A unit of supporting pikes is moving to prevent these guys from getting rear charges on all of his units. So I'm going to contract this formation and try to move through the pikes. I don't have a lot of time because there's cavalry coming and the Thracian warriors are also coming. So Thracian warriors getting into the rear could be really bad for my noble fighter general. These noble fighters are attacking both the archers and the shield bearers that are already engaged in the rear. So the archers are going to die quickly. These thorax pikes are going to die quickly. But I am quite worried about these Thracian warriors moving in here. So just trying to wrap up these fights, take care of the militia hoplites and the thorax pikes before the mercenary Thracian warriors enter the fray, because they're going to be able to do a lot of damage, chasing the archers away with my noble fighters. And it looks like the Thracian warriors are going to be able to make it, even though my noble fighters are attacking these guys in the rear. So thorax pikes are very much more tanky than your regular pikes. And the Thracian warriors right into the back of my noble fighters. They're going to get a lot of kills this way. Pretty devastating for my noble fighter general. The other unit is going to pile in, which is good for me. It's going to blob instead of going around. That would have been a lot worse. The thorax pikes have dropped their pikes, and now my noble fighters are going to be able to kill them quite quickly. These noble fighters are holding out. I'm going to activate Headhunt because they are winded and they are up against so many mercenary Thracian warriors. My spears are taking their sweet time. They are exhausted, so now they are moving at minus 20% speed, which is going to make them run slower, of course. Citizen cavalry already wounded up against my noble fighters. The noble fighters should win that quickly, but they really need to because there are pikes coming in towards their rear, so they really need to kill this unit of citizen cavalry. Over here my noble fighters are doing well against his shield bearer general and his militia hoplites, but the militia hoplites have tanked a lot of damage for his general, so I'm not going to be able to destroy him as quickly as I'd like to, and I am under missile fire from several directions. So trying to stay close to his aspis with my spears, using one spear unit to chase after the archers. That's going to allow me to use this unit to chase after the other archers. My general is probably going to bite the dust against the mercenary Thracians, but the mercenary Thracians are also dropping quite quickly here to my noble fighter general, although they got the rear charge. So finally the thorax pikes out of formation are going to die. These guys being exhausted is of course going to make them a lot less effective in melee. They're going to get a 50% reduction in their melee attack, so it's going to be 28.5 or 29.5 now. So they have pretty shitty melee stats when they're exhausted, but I had to get at my opponent in some way. Noble fighters getting into the rear of the mercenary Thracian warriors should do a lot of damage to them. They're going to start wavering almost instantly, and that should be it for his mercenary Thracian warriors. My noble fighter general actually survived that, so pretty tanky stuff from my general. Over here my noble fighters have been put both Warcry and Intimidate, so they won't be able to use their Headhunt, and they have had their morale reduced by, I think it's 10 with the Warcry. The Iberian Spears are finally being useful in destroying the archers. Another unit of archers going down here. My Iberian Spears, exhausted, are going to do poorly against his Aspis companions. They're going to get some kills, but not a huge amount. The Aspis are just too tanky for this exhausted unit. But they are going to stop him from rear charging for some time. So archers are going down there, archers are going down there. My noble fighters should lose this engagement here. His shield bearers are doing fine because they are only tired and my guys are exhausted. So now I just need to move away from his pikes until I've dealt with the archers and the cavalry. So I'm going to go attack the archers, going to go attack the cavalry. And he's going to run after me with his 3 remaining pike units. And I don't want to engage them frontally, of course. I want to get my noble fighters into his archers as quickly as possible. I don't think they have javelins left. Those guys had javelins left, so they killed some archers. But they are just so slow when they are exhausted. Very heavy melee infantry that's exhausted is not going to catch fresh, very light missile infantry. They might be able to throw some javelins though, so that might break the unit. Over here the companions are winning against all of my spear units. They did lose some men, but the spear units have had enough. They are exhausted and they won't be very effective. So he almost manages to catch me here with his thorax pikes. Pikes are slow, but since these guys are exhausted, they are even slower. So I need to just move away, and what I want to try to do now is I want to destroy his Aspis. They should be very damaged, and I want to use my noble fighters with 2 chevrons against them. I'm going to activate Headhunt to make them unbreakable, practically unbreakable, and to make them kill the Aspis a bit quicker because they are exhausted from before. So it doesn't really matter if I use Headhunt and make them more tired because they are at the utmost edge of their stamina. But they're going to take down the Aspis fairly effectively in close combat. So I just need to pull back from his pikes, and the plan is to take care of the cavalry and then to go for his general and then go for the surround. So this unit of archers is shattered, which is very nice. My Iberian spears are going to come back, which is also very nice. Another charge from noble fighters should take care of the last unit of Aspis companions. And now it looks like I can win this, although this has been a messy and silly battle. It doesn't look like my opponent has the units left to be able to stop me here, so the Aspis are going down, and that's going to enable me to move around and take care of his archers and his depleted shield bearer general. So you would think, after all this bullshit, after posting units all over the map, after corner camping, that my opponent might just allow me to get to his general and destroy him. I might not even have the time to do it, but I'm going to try anyway. So doing this in quick battles is a pretty douchebaggy move. But even better, when I'm able to move around his pikes with most of my units and go for his archers and his general, my opponent is going to do the only honorable thing for a douchebag, and that is why this game is both ugly and bad. Because just as I charge in towards his shield bearer general, my opponent is, did you guess it? Yep, he's going to pull the plug. So great stuff, Alu. Posting your units all across the map could be a nice tactic, but not when you're corner camping and not when you pull the plug to avoid a loss, because looking at the statistics here, it's pretty obvious who won that battle. My noble fighters did well, one of the Iberian spears did well, the Celtiberian cavalry did horribly, but still the noble fighters carried the day, so I wasn't really able to test the elite spam against a proper army used in a proper way. But anyway, at least it made for another installment in the good, the bad and the ugly. This was both bad and ugly. So, quick battles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the battlefield.